this example, we'll be going over simplifying a rational expression and stating the restrictions. Recall that another word for restrictions, or another way we refer to restrictions, is calling them non-permissible values, or the NPVs. So in order to simplify this expression, I'd like to factor both the numerator and the denominator. So in the numerator here, I can see that 2 would be a common factor between 2 and 18. If I factor out 2, I'm going to get x squared minus 9. So what I notice now is that I'm going to have a difference of squares in my next step, so I'll address that then. In the denominator, I see x's in both terms, and I also see that both terms are divisible by 4. So I'd factor out a 4x, and that would leave me with a 3 minus x inside the bracket here. So since the denominator is fully factored now, what I'd like to do is go ahead and find my non-permissible values. So I'm going to take the 4x and set that equal to 0. And that's going to give me one non-permissible value of x equal to 0. I'm also going to take 3 minus x and set that equal to 0. And that's going to give me that x equal to 3 is also a non-permissible value. So now I've got these. I'll need to keep those in mind because I want to express them with my final simplified expression. Now moving back to the numerator down here, I see I have the x squared minus 9. I'd like to write that as x minus 3 and x plus 3. Now in the denominator, I see I've got 3 minus x. And I've got an x minus 3 now in the numerator. So what I'd like to do is factor a negative out of both of these terms. If I factor a negative sign out, that would give me a negative 4x out front. But what it does is reverse the sign on both of these terms. So my negative x would now become a positive x, and my positive 3 would now become a negative 3. So now I can see I've got a common factor of x minus 3 in both the top and the bottom, and I've also got 2 and 4. So remember, 2 would divide by 2 once, 4 would divide by 2 twice. So when I state my final expression here, now that I've got everything factored, I would have an x plus 3 in the top. We'd also like to express this negative sign in the numerator as well. And in the denominator, I've got a 2x. The 2 here and the x here. And again, in order to maintain equality with the previous expression, I would need to state that x cannot be equal to 0, and x also cannot be equal to 3, and that's resulting from my NPVs, which I found earlier.